Welcome, everybody, to the new Hearts and Minds podcast, Northern Views. This show is the hearts and minds of two Black, educated Afro-Caribbean women from Toronto. Our Northern Views come with a little bit of humor and a lot of insight. We embrace the perspectives that are led by our hearts and our minds in the world that we live in.
It's your girl, Kimmie, our passionate heart, and
Jeanette, our mind and chronic overthinker. Let's get into it.
Okay. Welcome all our hearts and minds. Thank you for tuning in this week, this Wednesday. We're here to discuss all things that we have been on our hearts and minds, the good, the bad, the concerning, the uplift, or just straight talk. Well, now we're going to dive into checkup. We have a checkup.
Yeah, let's check up.
Jeanette.
So, before we get into the checkup, I just wanted to say, this is our first episode. Kimmie and I have been talking about this for at least 6 weeks, maybe longer. But, the idea came to me after I've been thinking about podcasts for a long time. And it's one of the things that helped me get through working from home, the humdrum. It's like, I need to have sound while I'm working. And I'm like, I love these things. And I love the idea of sitting in on a conversation with two friends or, acquaintances or, coworkers, whatever. Just sitting in that conversation is enjoyable to listen into. And, we're happy to get started with our first episode and share it with you guys. So, Kimmie, we've been in the panini, the panorama, the everything in between. How has the past year and how many months been for you?
Well, to wrap it up nicely, an eye opener. It has opened my eye to a lot and how much we take for granted. To be more thankful. Yeah. More thankful and more gracious and patient for others. Because who would have thought the penny? When you think it's gonna stop, nope.
Yeah.
We're in lockdown.
Yeah, here in Ontario, it's been rough. Like we've been on lockdown forever.
It feels like forever. It feels like I'm chained to my house. Like I'm chained to where I live. And
that's why you have to make it as comfortable as possible.
It only has a certain radius, the chain. And home improvements are on the rise at this point.
Nice.
But you'd probably be on a waiting list for a fridge for about a year. So, because nobody can make them.
No, exactly. And I know some people who decided to redo their whole kitchen, and they had to wait. Like they ordered it for September, and they didn't get it to the end of October. So they kept their old fridge until it came in. But damn.
Nobody's making it because we're in the lockdown. But, with all that is happening in Ontario right now and having more vaccinations, I think it is allowing everybody a little bit more at ease.
Yeah.
Our numbers are coming down.
It's a light at the end of the tunnel, the rainbow after the thunderstorm. I feel...
Oh, I don't know if this is a thunderstorm. I feel like this was like... Remember back in the
tsunami
to get like 25 feet of snow? Like, it
was a tsunami, a hurricane, and
all wrapped up in one with lots of lovely white snow. And it just feels like we're just being dumped on. You know what I mean? Like just dumped on hard.
Especially us in Ontario. It's like, damn, let us free. Amistad, like
just a little, man. Because we don't have a lot of time to be out and about.
Yeah, we essentially have May.
So long.
Okay, maybe May to October. I took it up to October. After October, it's like, ooh, a little too cold for that extra long walk.
Warming.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
true.
After global warming.
That's true.
Remember what we were talking about before? We were saying just the other day, last week, we had temperatures up to 32. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, we had a full-blown snowing blizzard, hail coming. It's real, and I feel like we can't ignore it. I mean, it's right in front of us, and, people who have, one weather all year round, they don't understand, like, it's hard out here in this cold streets. Okay, it's hard out here. It's cold. It's very, very in your bones cold. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
yesterday was kind of
guys,
crazy.
we're indoors already a lot.
Yeah.
Like if you think about just a few years ago, before this pandemic even happened, there was a concern within the
Seasonal
seasonal
depression.
depression. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Jeanette.
It's real.
Yes. And that was a real thing. It's a real thing. And it was already happening without this pandemic. Just because we're locked up, and we can't really do much, and so to not be able to do anything, I mean, well, I guess we have practice. So I don't know.
More than enough. I never want to have any type of training in this ever again. But who knows what the future is gonna bring?
Who knows?
That brings me to another question. So Ontario is supposed to open up. We're recording on a Saturday night, and June 2nd is the day that Ontario is supposed to open back up, and we're all anxiously waiting for that to be the case. That's this Wednesday. So you think you're gonna let us out now?
Listen, if this government doesn't let us out,
oh God,
he better find another address. He better find another address, okay? Because people are gonna come after his ass. They're gonna come for him.
Yeah, it's not gonna be pretty.
They will come for it because, I mean, for us that can work from home, it's a little easier. We can still make an income and be comfortable and safe. But the rest of the world needs to get out there. Like, I think the saddest thing that has happened over this pandemic, from my perspective, is to see the mom and pop shops close.
I know, it's so
to
sad.
See the shops that were open from when I was a kid close, and they're not opening again. Like, we don't have it, like, say, for instance, in the States, where it's like, it's dime a dozen for certain things, it's dime a dozen. But for here, it's like those mom and pop shops, like, I remember, getting fish and chips from this place, or going over to that place for ice cream, and that's done. They're gone.
There's a lot of different groups that suffered throughout the the pandemic. But it's like, that's a group that I feel really bad for. Their families, to shut down, and they've been screaming for help from the government. But it's like small businesses, I really wish there was they had some assistance, but the money can only go so far after, not to go on for more than a year. So I'm hoping the whole vaccination process is going to help those who are in the middle of things, who were able to somehow manage to keep afloat, or barely afloat, or able to kind of recoup something for 2021. I hope so.
Well, I think more of them will have to change their direction in thinking. It's not like they're going to have to, I see a lot of curbside pickup, and I see a lot of, online, skip the dishes and all this, whoever might not want to say any names, but anywho, so you might have to switch up your thinking, but in the same breath, it's like, people, this is our livelihood. 40, 50 years deep into, staying successful with this particular business, and now it's done. And there's not enough that the government can possibly do other than let us out.
Let us out, because I'm actually worried. I mean, now I can't even entertain the thought of us not opening Ontario up at this point. I feel like, with the vaccination rates have been very good. I think they've been saying, like, they're pretty, last time I checked on the news, we're like 60 something, like 62 or 63% vaccinated, and the goal for the end of the summer is like 75%. So I feel with that number looking good and continuing to increase, there shouldn't be any reason why we stay closed. And I think that's why there will be an epic rager if they don't open Ontario up on Wednesday. So
That's
I'm
what I'm
just
saying. You
like
need to change
I should be
that.
prepared for anything, but I really don't even I can't even like put my thoughts around us not opening back up. Like I can't even entertain the thought. For me personally, it's
Yeah.
like whatever. But I do feel like it's summer. People are itching. People are out regardless. But I feel like we'd have a much, and the summer festivals are canceled, the jazz festivals, the carabanas. So it's like people just want to go outside and or browse in a shop, or I feel like that would make the world of a difference. So
I
I
know.
think I'm being positive and optimistic,
Well, whatever's
sending positive vibes to both levels of government, federal and
yes,
provincial.
because I couldn't imagine being in their position.
Yeah, it's
I
difficult.
couldn't
It's
imagine filling their at
yeah.
this. I mean, I pray that they will do the right thing because I live here. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I hear you. Anyway, let's stop talking about the pandemic. It's not going anywhere.
It's here to stay.
Not getting going anywhere anytime soon. So
Not time today.
so I have a question for you. The internets have been talking about this ex NBA player named Kwame Brown, who I never heard of until the past 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and Charlemagne the God. But I mean, it didn't start with Charlemagne, but it definitely, I feel like, got finished with Charlemagne. I mean, he's still talking from what I hear, but damn, this guy, his mouth is spicy. He's the king of petit.
Well, I, I'm going to say the same, that I didn't hear much about this man than in the last. Sad to say that I haven't heard much about him, because he seems to have really thrived for himself, and made himself, like made sure that he was good. And
He has an interesting story.
he does have an interesting story, and it's really fun that it's that underdog that came up, and he did take a lot of slack in the industry, and in the NBA and stuff like that, and
they've been
and
roasting his
I and I
apparently
get
they've been
that.
roasting his ass for almost 20 years.
Yeah, for a very long time. And I think, he Charlemagne the God just put the last straw dead upon the camel's back.
he
And
broke
the
it
camel
down.
said, "No, sir, they're bite your back." He said, "I'm not here for it." You
Nope.
understand? You did fuck with the wrong one. But you really fucked with the wrong one. Like, that's exactly what he said to him in so many words. And Charlemagne had to kind of retreat.
He
He had to
retreated,
kind of
okay?
retreat,
He
and like
retreated in a way that I've never
he
seen
did
Charlemagne retreat in almost all these years he's
well,
been on
you
the
know what?
Breakfast Club.
He has a lot to lose.
He
And
does.
so
He does.
I'm sure of it. Even though I have no idea about these people, I've never met them a day in my life. I'm sure that Kwame was like, "Listen, take care of your boy. You understand? Put him on a leash." He called. He made that call. He called who he had to call, and he said, "You better what? You better get your boy."
You know what I think?
Get your boy.
You know what I think happened? You know what? Here's what I think happened. Because the story is Kwame Brown and Charlemagne the God come from the same area in South Carolina, and I think it's Monk's Corner or something like that. So they kind of know, when you grow up in a small town or a small city, it's like everybody kind of knows everybody. Your family's no family. So the way Charlemagne came and apologized, gave himself donkey of the day, like I feel like not it wasn't on top of the fact that like Kwame Brown brought up his old rape case, which obviously that's like a triggering incident for Charlemagne, and he has his new podcast network. He's like, thriving on the Breakfast Club and all his other endeavors. This guy's doing so many things. Like his star is like going above and beyond. So as he said, he has a lot more to lose. But I also feel like somebody from Charlemagne's family was like, listen, you went too far, bruh. Like you need to like apologize to that man. Like there was no reason for you to go in on him like that, knowing that you guys come from the same place. Please, you needed not to go there. But
Well,
anyway,
I really think that Charlemagne needed to have, you know, a cup of his own juice. Like, I think he needed to have that medicine. I think you're not in a position to say anything about him.
Exactly.
You're
Like you
not
said.
in a position. Have you forgot where you came from? Like, have you forgot what you did, or did it evade you because you're making all of this money? He put you in check. And whoever had to make that call, if it was granny or auntie or whoever had to make that call, I'm glad they made that call, and I'm glad he, backtracked, you know, backtracked himself, retreat,
Retreat, retreat.
Retreat. Where's my flag? My white flag. Wave
Please,
it.
truce. Charlemagne was waving that white flag.
And I think, please, don't come for me, please. I know I sent for you, but don't come for me.
Don't come for me.
No, but it's true. And I feel as though he needed that, like, check. Yeah. Like, he needed to get checked. And I'm sure now Charlemagne will never say anything about that man again. He won't. He won't. And I feel that way because do you really want this man's foot on your neck? Like, do you really? Do you?
Well,
like,
I hope it ends. I hope that
foot on your neck.
Ooh,
that whole phrase. But
yes.
He will be up. Yeah. But he will be up your ass. Like, he's gonna be up your ass, and he's not gonna feel no way about it because he doesn't have to.
And you know what? I feel like
himself.
Both of them, yeah, it doesn't serve either of them to keep it going. But I think the ideas, from the stories I've read, is that Kwame Brown has been like verbally harassed about basically his career or lack thereof. Not lack. There was a career, but it didn't explode like how they expected or whatever. But I feel like it would serve them both or everybody to like stop talking about it, because at the end of the day, there is some success in his story, and the fact that, like they said, at a very young age, he went to I don't remember the city, but he got recruited at a very young age, not straight from a high school, didn't go to college. He, when he was in the NBA, he didn't know nothing. He didn't know how to cook for himself. He didn't know how to, eat at restaurants. Like, they were saying that he would like bring his own like salad dressing when he went to restaurants. Like, he was just a very inexperienced young man, and he had to like navigate that on his all on. They did bring in somebody to play like a surrogate father. I think like a mentor for him when he was in the NBA. That's how bad it was. Like, that's how inexperienced in life he was. And then imagine you have that inexperience topped on, you're in the NBA. Like, they had high hopes for you, and you pretty much are, I'm not going to say you didn't live up to the expectations. Not a flop, but there was high expectations that you just didn't meet, which is fair enough. Maybe you mentally weren't there to handle that pressure. And so what I think it is wrong is that grown men are talking about, yeah, and it's sad that grown men were talking about.
And I feel as though the space that he had to maneuver as a young man, and people constantly ridiculing him, and they have their own skeleton.
Yeah. Yep.
So I feel like after a while, maybe he got to come along with all your skeletons hanging in your closet to come and say anything about me.
And what I appreciate is that
unfortunately, he got dealt with. He got checked.
He wasn't the only one.
Pushed back. That's the thing.
Everybody got it.
With Charlemagne, sometimes he lives like a double life. You know what I mean? At least that's how it appears, is because how could you have these skeletons in your closet and be so critical of everybody else around you? And it's like, I know everybody has to do their work and has to get themselves right, mentally and every other way, but to like, I just felt like he was, he just went a little too far. And I'm glad that Kwame, clapped back. I'm glad to see that even though the apology felt kind of fake and fraud, he was able to see he was wrong and admit it.
Yeah, and I think because Charlemagne is really into like mental health awareness and supporting particularly in the Black community. So obviously, this guy had to go through a lot of mental gymnastics throughout his life, especially starting into the NBA at such a young age, and to manage to stay in the NBA for how many years? I don't know the exact amount of years, but it was a good amount when I read up. I was like, it's not like he came in and only played for 3 years, it was gone. I think it was like at least 15, 20 years that he was able to stay in the NBA and still get a paycheck. Okay, as he said, he was making millions of dollars. At the end of the day, he may have been a disappointment or a flop initially, but he still managed to make multiple millions of dollars, and now is thriving at his age now, which is I think
Yeah.
like in his late 30s or something. I don't know.
Because he was smart.
He was smart. He was smart. There was something. There was something there. He made it. Like coming from where he was and where he is now, he made it. There's no way that wasn't a success. So I guess everybody just needs to chill. And he just let everybody know. But maybe he was their punching bag. But he was like, bump that. Forget this. I'm going after everybody. Everybody's getting licks. He called the funniest thing though.
Yeah,
What he said. Done. The funniest thing that he said was on the podcast that started this whole thing. Is he Matt Barnes, Becky with the good hair, because I don't know if he's biracial or whatever, but he was like, Becky with the good hair, Matt Barnes. I was like, ooh.
Stop, Kwame, stop.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah,
Actually, it's
you're
not.
getting them too hard.
I don't know if it's Matt Barnes. Hold on, I think it's yeah, it is. It's Matt Barnes. Okay, Matt Barnes. Okay. Oh my gosh, I was like, I didn't want to have the wrong name, but yeah, the basketball player, Becky with the good hair. Anywho, yeah, well, that's I think it seems to be dying down, and I just hope that Kwame Brown in particular is in the right mental space. Sometimes when people see people going off like that, I don't know if it's like just he's fed up or is there like something wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I hope that he is okay and that people just will get off his back, man. It's been over 20 years. Let him live.
Just let him live.
Let Kwame Brown live, because he will choose violence.
Like
he
when you feel like holding people accountable, make sure you look in your closet first.
Yeah, that too.
You know what I mean?
That too.
Yeah, like when you want to call, and the way that they went about it, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I think he just just came across as a dick, which he
Put
was.
some respect on his name.
Put a little bit. I mean, shoot. Give the man a little respect. Like, he did do what he did. Like, stop. But anywho, so my dear.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about something particular.
Okay. What's that?
And that would be Summer Walker.
Summer Walker. Damn, Summer Walker. This girl, oh my goodness. I've been
that's
mortified.
why I wanted to also start. I wanted to just say, Wagwan for real.
Wagwan for real, Summer Walker.
Wagwan girl. Wagwan.
Okay, I just have to. Okay, I'm glad you brought this up. Okay, so we're gonna be having a few segments on the show, and they're gonna change, they're gonna come and go, but Wagwan for real is one of our segments, and honestly, we wanted to bring Summer Walker to the table. Summer Walker makes amazing music. She's had an amazing past couple of years. She's been in the press. She's a girl who stays. She stays in the blog. She stays people stay talking about her, and honestly, she gives people reason to talk about just because she just says some outlandish things on her social media or whatever. So where this came from is I was seeing there was a picture circulating on Instagram and on Twitter of her holding her 2-month-year-old baby, and she has him cradled in his arm. Obviously, she's hiding his face, I guess, to protect his identity. But you see his little leg, and his little leg is so skinny. It's like, are you feeding this baby? And everybody's kind of worried because she's posted things where she's like, I don't see why people can't feed their kids. I'll, buy them grapes or this or that. She is kind of like she's vegan or supposedly vegan, and she's like really into like, super organic type of foods and stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that as an adult to have that, to be very conscious of what you eat.
That's
That's
fine.
a good
You want to
thing.
be healthy, but the baby needs some food.
The baby
The
needs
baby needs
the
food.
baby need a 2-month-old baby needs milk or formula, nothing else. And
Exactly.
so people are up in arms because there was some picture where she posted like some hemp seeds, honey, I don't know, some fruits or something, and in a blender, and there was a bottle beside the blender. So everybody was kind of worried because they're like, I hope she's not making that for her 2-month-old baby.
I
There was no
really hope
formula or
not.
milk in sight. I think it is known, it for whatever reason, I think she's not breastfeeding. So if you're not breastfeeding, you
Then
should
how is the baby getting nutrients?
nutrients, and it needs to be, either milk or homo milk, I don't know what, or formula is probably the best thing because they have formulas designed to have all the nutrients that a child of that age should be getting. And it's,
Yeah.
it's a pretty new baby, it's not like it's like 2 months, like you're pretty fresh. So babies of that age, if you're not breastfeeding, which is fine, you have to be giving them formula so they're getting the nutrients. There's a lot of nutrients in breast milk that they
Definitely.
require to develop, right? So the fact that the baby's leg looks so skinny, look more like an arm. Baby get a little thick after 2 months of been drinking the right formula or breast
Yeah.
milk.
Yeah, because they should be, I believe it's about like a pound or so a week that they
Mm-hmm.
should be gaining. Like they should be gaining enough weight that by time 2 months comes around, he has a little chunk of chunks
A
on his
little
leg,
chunk of chunk. There was no
and
chunk
she
of
can
chunk.
just a little chunk of chunks. I need little chunks, and that's only because they need that extra cushion,
Yeah.
around their bones. Being that their bones are so tender, they're not as dense as they are as an adult, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they need that little extra padding and little chunk of chunks around the legs and stuff. You can still very much be very healthy with your child,
Mm-hmm.
and give them the nutrients that they need. There's a variety of milks that they have out there.
Mm-hmm.
You can go with soybean.
But I think it's pretty known, unless the baby has
Just
any lactose problem, they should be drinking.
I
If you're
just
not giving it formula, I mean, if you're not giving it breast
hope
milk, then formula is
that
what you should be giving them.
she's not imposing
Yes.
her own, health belief onto her under malnourished.
Hmm. Well, one thing that was scary to me, on top of the seeing the actual photo of the baby not looking very plump and fluffy, is there was a picture of honey on the counter where she was making whatever concoction she was making. There was honey. If there's one thing that I know, and something I learned a while back and I never forgot, is you do not give a baby honey. It could literally, they can get botulism. Like they can literally die from. That's like the one thing right now in these modern times that might give your child botulism and potentially, if not like make them seriously ill, it could even lead to death. God. So that honey, I hope to God she's not get that honey was for her and not for her child. Well, I think we've talked enough about Summer. I hope someone is checking on her. I mean, her baby father is questionable too, London on the track, but I hope somebody checks in because there's enough evidence for somebody
I
to.
hope so too, and
Yeah. So, did you get to listen to J.
I hope
Cole's new
she's
album?
doing the right thing. I haven't had the opportunity, but I've heard that it's
Yeah,
fire.
I mean,
It's fire.
some people are saying that it's his best. I mean, I've only listened to it once, so I don't know if I wouldn't say go as far as to say it's his best, but I feel like if you're a true hip hop head, I think it might resonate with you there. I feel like this one is like going down to the foundations, to the roots of hip hop. It's like lyrical. The production is crazy. He actually decided to have features. He has features with Lil Baby, 21 Savage, Black. So I mean, he's typically known for not doing features, but I'm happy that he did. And I feel like it made this album super rich, like had a lot more depth. But he can't miss. He doesn't miss. J. Cole does not
And
miss at all.
he has a lot of depth himself.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he seems to have a lot of depth himself, and so it comes through his music, and I think collaborating with people can only definitely enrich that. And so I'm excited to listen to it.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that it's fire. I'm hearing it's
Yeah,
fire.
everybody's going
I
off.
think
I
he
mean,
has to tackle it.
I listened to it once. I enjoyed it. It sounds really, really good. But I feel like there's other albums that I was like addicted to right away. Like I couldn't stop. Like Born Sinner, For Your Eyes Only. Even his last one, I think, KOD. I had that on heavy rotation from the minute I heard. The fact that I only listened to it once and I was like, okay, okay, I'm feeling it, but I feel like I need to listen a couple more times with headphones and really like take it in, and then I can have a better. I feel like it's one of those deep albums where you can't listen to it once. Like you really need to get into it.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's lots of those type of albums where, and with J. Cole, like he has the type of album where you can put it in and just play.
Yeah, straight.
I think
Always.
this type
I
of album,
always.
I don't want to have to, oh no, 6, oh, like 11, like I don't feel like going to do that. Like I feel like just popping it in, and I don't feel like I can still vibe with it and keep it on and just let it play, and
Yeah.
maybe it has to grow on me, or something like that. But
I
it's nice.
definitely feel it. Definitely, I could definitely say that this album is one of those albums where you could play it and take and listen to it and let it rock and rock with it, and from track one to the last track. But I just like I feel like I didn't take in the lyrics as much as I took in the vibe, but I didn't really take in like the lyrics and what he's really saying and where he's at. Because he's married, he has a kid, he's in a different place right now, and I want to take that in a little bit more. And then
Yeah.
this week I didn't even know, but DMX released an album. They released DMX's posthumously released album Exodus, aptly named. Damn, that's so.
Did they know?
Yeah, but I didn't listen. I just happened to see the article, but I'm gonna listen to it next week. Take it really in. A lot of people are talking about it. I mean, it seems like they put a lot of. Sometimes, like it seems like they put a lot of work into this album, and it's like new tracks because he did have a bunch of tracks, I think, laying around, and they were saying, he was trying to make a comeback. There's multiple times where he's going to come back, and they had tracks, but I do feel like I think most of the albums on this, Swiss Beats was saying they're all new, which I'm excited to hear. So maybe we'll talk about that next week. Let's listen to it this week, and I'll have some thoughts on it.
Yes, I will do that.
Yeah.
But my whole view on like albums that come out after the person dies is like, can we just leave their legacy in peace?
Well, I feel with this one, he was working on this leading up to, like, this was new music. This isn't like one of those cases where, like, say when Tupac died, they kept on digging up old tracks, sitting on people's laptops, sitting on people's hard drives, and throw together these albums. And there's a reason why they were sitting on somebody's hard drive all those years. And because there's like,
exactly,
because the person has passed away.
Like I can understand they were working on the album just before they passed away, and I get that part, right? That's cool. But it's the ones like with Tupac, for instance, like you said, it's like album after album. It's like the man's been dead for almost, at that point, 5-10 years. Why are we still coming? Like, let's leave his legacy for what it was and enjoy that authentic performance from an artist.
Yeah,
because that was authentic, to them. It didn't have to be manipulated and somebody else trying to put it together. It came from that artist.
Yeah, I think they should release.
I don't know. I like to keep genuine that way.
Yeah, I think they should release. I think they should release music that the artist intended to release. I do feel like it should be intentional. If the artist intended for it to be released, release it. If they didn't intend for it to release, then they shouldn't release it. But I mean, I understand the demand. It's something for the fans. I'm sure diehard fans appreciate the fact that they get to hear new stuff or things that they've never heard from an artist they love. It's hard to say, but as long as they're respecting the artist's wishes and their family, then I'm okay. If the family's okay with it being released, then I can respect that.
Yes.
Okay, so that's our music segment. I'm excited for DMX. We'll talk about that another
I'm
time.
gonna listen to Mr. DMX. I'm gonna hit that up.
Yeah.
Yes, because I love some DMX.
It's amply titled Exodus. Can you imagine? Well, a little bit on the nose, but hey.
Dead center on the nose. The nose is red. It's red. But I feel like it was a loss because I grew up with DMX and I felt very much connected to him. His music was awesome. And I'm going to listen to this Exodus with an open mind and an open heart because I feel very much inclined with him. So if it's DMX that I know and I love, I'll give it a shot.
Oh, of course. I can't wait. I know.
But if they mess that up,
no, I think from everything I'm hearing, it's good.
I need the same energy. I need the same DMX. I need to hear him the way he was in order for this to be successful in my eyes. At least, in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm hearing good things so far. So I think we're not going to be disappointed. But yeah, we'll talk about that. Next, when we get a chance to listen to it, we'll listen to it in a week.
Yes, and we will have that review of that album.
Let's review it next week. Yeah, we'll review that. We'll talk more about it next week. So another segment that we were talking about to have on this show, and listeners, let us know what you think. Some things make you just say, "Lord of mercy." Lord of mercy.
Lord of mercy. Lord Jesus.
Okay, so something that's been in the news already for a while. It's been climbing and getting higher and higher, and new developments every other week. But this T.I. and Tiny thing, girl. I'm scared for them. Because now that the DA's offices are getting involved. Before it was accusations, but from one there's investigations, and there's now I think there's a legit statement somebody put in. I was like, okay, now this is not just accusations, and this is getting real for them, and it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all.
This is real, Jeanette. This is very, very real. Jeanette, this is not no play thing no more.
No play thing.
It's not no play thing no more. This is a for real thing because the DA is on their backside. This is not a joke. They're being investigated.
Yeah.
And I always say when you're being investigated, your life becomes an open book, whether you want it to be or not. And whatever T.I. and Tiny are doing or have done, you need to fall to your knees and beg the Lord for help to this one.
Yeah, it's getting super serious.
Mercy.
Lord.
One important thing that I wanted to ask you, Jeanette, was that to what level will a woman go for her man? This is the epitome of ride or die. This is the epitome of I'm dumb and in love.
I think it goes. I honestly, well, now it's not like somebody. It's not even a case where you could say the woman was aware and didn't say anything and ignore the situation. She's involved. There are people accusing her that she helped.
She was coaxing the people. She's coaxing the people. Allegedly. We'll put it out there. Allegedly.
These are allegations.
That's the bomb word and our disclaimer. Allegedly. But to what degree will you go to for a man? like, this is ridiculous. You have a whole leap of picnic for race, and you're going to do all of this?
No,
You
but
know?
in all seriousness, like again, we don't know, but like I was just reading MSN News and they're saying the attorney who's representing 11 of the accusers has retained 3 or more accusers seeking a criminal investigation into TI and Tiny and their associates. And this is a that's to tell you that this is it's like at first it was allegations and then they had to go and make their public statements. They put their show on hold, their family reality show on hold, and that was already like I'm pretty sure a big blow to them, but at least it's just their show on hold. Now we're actually
Of
getting
course.
criminal investigation. It is serious for them, and I really I
Yeah,
mean
this is not a joke.
it's
This is
not
not a
looking
play
good.
fighting no more.
From the things I've read, it's not
None
looking
at
good.
all.
But
None at all. And
like you said with Tiny, I think Tiny comes across to me as one of those. She's one of those women. It's hard for them to stand on their own, and like Ti is a very traditional male chauvinist type of like guy. So he's very like the woman should do this, the man does this. So she's a kind of woman who relies on that domineering type of
well, I
figure.
don't know. I don't know though. I don't know about that, Jeanette, because she was something before
Mm-hmm.
TI.
Mm-hmm.
She was something, and she was capable, and she was a strong
Yep.
businesswoman. And unfortunately, she fell under some sort of spell, or she
she
was digmatized by this man.
she fell in
Wow.
love.
Okay, or fell on something. Because for me, I don't understand how you lost your sense. Like, you've lost your sense that you had before him. Like, how
but
did I understand being in love, you do stupid things, but you too are a woman, and naturally within you is not to do this. We're nurturers by nature. You have children, you have daughters.
yeah, but it's
You
I
know what
mean,
I'm
I
saying?
hear your point, but I think what type of relationship they have, she's had to played a very submissive role and she's been in it for so many years. So she's kind of like under his thumb. So as much as you said, yeah, she was somebody and she was an independent
She looked like
thinker.
a damn fool to me.
Right now, it's actually more than a fool. Now she's looking like it's dangerous for sure. Her ass might get locked up for following this man. So, I mean, I don't know what to think. I really don't. I've always kind of like admired their how they are with their family and stuff. But I don't know, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's I don't know. Something's definitely weird is going on. They've been having I don't know. Something's been going down over there. But we'll see. But
Well,
it's definitely not going away. That's one
well,
thing. Like, lot of mercy. Like, I don't know. They better be grabbing the wheel and grabbing their Bible and praying to God because it is not looking good.
Lord of mercy, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, have a whole full team. You better have a team of lawyers, okay?
Uh,
You better have a team in
well,
steady rotation because
I think they're pretty. At least we know they're
oh,
financially well. They're financially well off enough to lawyer up. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that
yeah,
one.
but the type of lifestyle that they were leading as well. Like, that's the thing, is that the facade that we see,
Mm-hmm.
we think that they have it all together, but without that show, they don't have like a steady stream of income coming in.
I mean,
I don't hear any
Ti has
music
some Ti
much.
has some businesses. I know Ti has some businesses. I mean, and
Yeah, but people are not gonna they're not gonna mess around with you in this
oh, right now, yeah,
toxic.
people are probably like slowly backing away from him right
Yeah, they're
now,
gonna start retreat,
retreating. Yeah,
back away.
yeah, it's kind of like yeah, somebody with these type of allegations, you're gonna want to stay a little bit far away from them.
And that's the thing, and their reputation. Let alone you could be doing jail time soon.
Yeah.
Well, lot of mercy
God of
for real,
mercy.
y'all.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully
Mercy.
we'll keep an eye on that one. I don't think that story is going anywhere. Anyway, let's get into our workout session. So our workout session is where we, work out our hearts and our
Yeah.
minds and do a deep dive discussion on issues that have been impacting the culture in the, past weeks or months or whatever, that's just been really
Yes.
on the head, like everybody's been talking about. And we always want to, kind of dissect it and see where we can find the
Yes.
light at the end of the tunnel, and hear even what our listeners think. It's like we want to do a deep dive. We're not just shooting the shit. Like we're really thinking about this and want to hear how
Yeah,
people are feeling. And what I wanted to
definitely.
bring up is we just kind of went past the 1 year anniversary of the whole,
George
George
Floyd.
Floyd's murder. And I'm not going to get into that. We already know what that led
Rest in
to. That's a
peace.
little too much. We're trying to. But one thing that kind of came out of that is where a lot of people have been talking about black trauma in like TV shows and movies. Just that representation. Yes, representation was a big thing that came out of the following discussions after that tragedy, but it's specifically I wanted to talk about that, how yes there's more black stories, but there's a good amount of those black stories that are showing a lot of black pain and black trauma. And I mean, there's two sides to the argument where sometimes it's like it's not it's true, it's something that happens, like I mean we've seen it, but we don't want there to be an over representation of that when we're talking about black story. We have joy, we have happiness. Like if there's one thing black people can do is find the positive in the negative. Like we've been marginalized for centuries and generations. If there's one thing though, is like we're gonna be all right.
Yes, that is correct. And it's nice to see that they are putting that out there for the other part of the population that does not have that struggle.
Mhm.
It's good to see that at least they're opening the eyes of many that only saw Black people in one sort of perspective. So it is good in that respect. However, I've been through it. I don't
Yeah,
need
we
to
don't want to
see
see,
it.
we don't need to see
I'm
that
not
all the
trying
time. We don't need
to
to
see
see
it
that all
every
the time.
day because I live it every day. You know, I live it every day. I'm walking in it every day. I don't need to be bombarded with the imagery. I just don't. And you know, as a Black person, why can we not be represented in any other way? Like, why is it that we have to go back to the Black man's plight? Like, why do we always have to go back to the slavery and the this is how we're treated? Why can we not now show a different narrative of Black people succeeding, Black families, Black businesses, have more representation of Black faces within, you know, our education system, educational programs.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many other representations of what Black people are, and I feel like there's just a small segment of us that's being displayed all the time.
Yeah. So I think,
And there's more to us than that. And I
yeah.
feel like because I've been through it and generations of Black people have been through it, do you really think that I need to be reminded? I don't. But it's nice to know that it's being put out there for others to see so they understand
And
better. You
here's
need to
my
give them
thing.
a different perspective.
Here's my thing.
You
I
need to give
think,
them a different perspective for real, you know? And sorry to cut you, but my last point on that was like in the sense where how we're being represented.
mhm.
I've seen a lot of more Black imagery coming up since George Floyd, and I feel like that too. And I want to look on the positive side of things that we did something right. We opened up someone's ears, someone's listening, someone's hearing us,
Well, they didn't have a
and
choice.
whether they're changing just for pure greed or to make sure that they have the dollars rolling in from us Black people, either which way, something is being done that's different than it used to be.
Yeah.
So, you know, I want to look at that. I want to look at that part too, that our voices mean something. You know, they mean something so much so that we can make a change, even within a year. Just imagine, like, in Martin Luther King's 1950s, the change that they made, it was astounding. and this is a different world to that, and we are still making changes, and we're doing it with our voice, and our voice does mean something. So we should never ever think that we shouldn't speak on it. And
No,
now I think that what
my
Black
argument,
people, sorry. Hold on, I just want to get this out though. Anyway,
yeah,
sorry, my darling.
yeah, go ahead.
As Black people, I think where our role comes into play is to put a different narrative out there now. You know, it's our
Balance it
job
out.
as
Balance
Black
it out.
people to put a different narrative, because okay, we shouldn't sit down as Black people and have somebody else tell our story. They've already told one aspect, and now we as Black people have to give a different narrative of how else we are. You know, the other 80% of what makes us us. Go on.
No, no worries. I was just saying that, again, I'm not saying, I want to make it clear, I'm not saying don't make it, but I'm saying I want balance. That's what I'm saying. For
Yes.
every Black trauma storyline, please have a Black joy one. Please have a triumphant story. Please show that we are not just our pain and our past, but there's something about us. We can bring levity to any situation. Sometimes you go to, like, even when, like, somebody passes away, like in my family, yes, there's grief, but one thing, after you bury the person, you go back and you'll hear people, oh, you remember when Ben did this, you remember when so and so did that, and you just laugh and laugh and laugh. So it's like, even in grief, even in sadness and sorrow, something about, and I feel like I see this across Black cultures, no matter if you're African, Caribbean, African American. It's like we just have this levity about us. We just find a reason to chuckle or have a joke, something about us. So I want us to be reflected in the content that we're seeing. And I wanted to just give a couple of examples of what I'm talking about and why I wanted to talk about, like, some of the biggest shows that came on in 2020. So I know you may not be familiar with them, but I recommend, if you have time. I know your family will many have things to do and stuff, but if you have time, take a look, and maybe we can discuss more on another one of our episodes. So one of those shows that came out was Lovecraft Country, was HBO's Lovecraft Country, which, even though it was problematic, I actually loved it. It was actually one of my top shows from last year that I watched, and it's pretty much looking at 1950s and south side of Chicago, and it's pretty much a horror, and really, they have monsters and magic and everything, but the real horror is racism. That's really at the core of the show, and they kind of outlined that. However, there was a couple of questionable scenes in there where I was like, did we need that? Another one was them on another one of them was them called Them on Amazon Prime. And again, it's kind of, I found it similar. There was some like similarities between Them and Lovecraft Country. I preferred Lovecraft Country, but Them, again, it was like this family that moved from the south. It was a great migration from the south up into, like, more northern cities, and this family moves to Chicago, into I think it's Compton, and like, traditionally, we always know in modern times Compton, a place in California that has a large Black population, but originally, when the Great Migration happened, it was all white people. So basically, this family moves to Compton in the 1950s, and they are terrorized, and it's just like too much. Like, there's a point where they go in and have a knife to a little girl in the house.
Oh my God.
They also show, when they are in the South, they are attacked. I'm sorry, spoiler alert, but I want you guys to know, I feel like any person listening to this should go in with their eyes wide open with what's going on, because it's really hard to watch. There's a scene where the lead actress is at home alone, and she's, like, basically come upon, like, these white people, and I don't know if they're supposed to be burglars or what. They're just like these bandits, and they come, and she is not only raped, but they kill her baby by putting it in a sack and rolling it around Like
Oh God.
it's yes, it's that's the kind of
Yeah, I wouldn't be
that's
watching that.
no,
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it.
I wish I knew before I fucking watched the show. I was like, whoa. I was like, what? Like, why would you? This is so gratuitous. And that's what I'm talking about. Did we need that? And this is a black creator. So I think somebody needs to have a conversation with this guy. I mean, I can't remember his name right now. And this is his first feature as a showrunner for a show. So maybe I hope there are some conversations, and if they do have another season, that they are very cognizant of the fact that if they're going to show black trauma, it better have be very relevant to the scene instead of being gratuitous. So this was gratuitous. It wasn't needed, and we don't want to see that. And if you are going to do it, it better be very intentional, and it better make sense to the story. If it's not bringing anything to the story,
Yeah,
don't
because for
show it.
me, imagery is everything.
It's everything.
Imagery
Don't
is
just show it.
everything.
Don't show me
Um,
an image just for me to be disgusted and appalled. It better have you better have a reason for putting that image on the screen.
and in my brain, like I don't want that image
Like
to
I
be in my
said, black trauma.
brain.
This is black trauma, showing me
Like
black trauma to re-traumatize me. What?
exactly, so that we can then what? Keep me at a what? At a certain level? No. And so that's why again what I was saying, that we need different imagery. And I think that as black people, we need to have a real conversation amongst each other and
Yes.
decide like what imagery are we going to side with? That whole the trauma, and or are we going to say show something uplifting, show something that is inspirational and motivating, because that's not going to help my psyche in any way. There's that nothing no part of that imagery is going to make me inspired to do something, with it's just I won't be watching that type of show
No,
for you.
and that's why I
Thanks for
want to
the
let our
spoiler
I want to
alert.
let our listeners know. Yeah, them. Yeah, don't. It's disturbing. It's like to the point where Lovecraft Country, I feel like it made sense to the story. There is intent there. There was a couple of gratuitous things, but with them, I feel like it was just like slapping me in the face, left, right, and center. Like, no, thank you. And again, I'm not saying don't have
Mhm.
it. Like, I want creators to create what they want to create, but I want balance. And if you're gonna do it, have intention. Don't do it for the sake of just doing it. And that's my thing. Like, you better, if you're gonna do it, you better be smart and clever with it. Otherwise, keep that shit.
Exactly. And keep that shit in your head. Like, nobody wants to know. Thanks. Moving on. Yeah,
Yeah.
but for me, seeing different black imagery, I'm just thinking of when I was younger, and now that I am a family woman and I have a daughter of my own,
Hmm.
I just see how much more black imagery there is out there in
Hmm.
media, from a very young age,
Hmm.
the different types of programs and stuff. When I was growing up, there wasn't any of that.
There
It
wasn't
was
a lot of it.
very limited. I mean, I remember reading Rainbow,
Yeah.
where the
LeVar
black
Burton.
guy on the show,
LeVar Burton, I love him.
thank you very much. I loved him, and he was just. It was nice to see someone of color on television, and so it's nice to see that now at least there are good imagery of black people. There's a commercial, and I don't know if it's for one of the major institutions, TD or BMO or whoever, but it's a black family and they
Okay.
have a few children, and every now and then you see a commercial by them, and it was and I want to be very particular when I say this. It was a black family,
Yes, I was
not
gonna
a
say what.
racial
Yes, I was gonna
ambiguous.
ask.
No, it was a black family. Like, let's just put
Okay.
that out there. It wasn't racially ambiguous in any sense of the word.
Hmm.
You didn't have to wonder.
Hmm.
And mom, dad, and kids, and I think it was one there was it for McDonald's? And like the dad is in the anyways, these different type
Hmm.
of imageries are what we need to see. If we think of history and in media, there was a point in time where black was it on television. That's what you saw all day long. Whether it was Cosby's show or Arsenio Hall, you saw
There was an era.
it
There
all in
was an
between.
era in the '90s.
There
There
was an
was an era
error,
in the
and it was great to
yeah.
see. I don't know what happened. Not quite sure
Mhm.
where the flip and switch happened, but there was a flip and switch. And so it's nice to see that it's slowly starting to come back again. And even if it is in a different way in this movie that you're referring to, you know, to just think of a black man being able to produce his own movie, you know, or to have an idea and to be taken seriously within the industry. And I think, you know, there's certain people that we have to thank for that, you know, such as Tyler Perry. Like Tyler Perry, you know, he came from wearing a dress to buying acres and acres of land.
Yeah, that puts some
you
now
know,
people,
on a plantation.
a lot of people are putting some respect on his name now. Like before, you know, people were always roasting Tyler Perry, but now they're like, damn, this guy has his own studio. Marvel is shooting there. It's like, it's a crazy story. So if there's one thing you're gonna do is put respect on Tyler Perry's name, because yeah,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
put respect on his name
yep.
because he said a lot through his character though. And you see, that's the difference. And if you look at comedy, in media, for instance, all black men for some particular reason end up going and wearing a dress.
Not
All of
all,
them.
not all,
All
but
like all the
there is a
greats.
narrative.
No, pretty much all the greats.
Mm,
Pretty much. Martin Lawrence.
I don't think it's all, but
Yeah.
there are some
He wore a
significant
dress, Big
people.
Mama's House.
Okay.
Arsenio Hall, he did it in Coming to America, the first one.
Yeah, but not all.
Eddie
I think it's
Murphy,
important that you say.
Richard Pryor.
I think it's important that you don't say all. Some, I would
I don't
say,
want to say all. You know what? You're right.
influential, but
And
there are some
thank you for checking me on
influentials.
that.
There are some influential people who have done it, but not
Yes,
all.
but and that's what I'm referring to. Those influential comedians, they eventually ended up in a dress, and so Tyler Perry started his career out in a dress, and look where he is now. You know what I'm saying? And so I think he took it. What he was actually saying while in that dress was meaningful. You know, that character of Medea was meaningful. If you look at his movies and his plays, she had a meaningful role. You know, as a
yeah, she was usually the conscious of the film, and she kind of led things and resolution. Yeah.
And somewhat of the soul of the film. But you know what? You're right. Thanks for checking me on that. It's not all, and I don't want to say all, but I would say the majority of the big names that we know today, eventually they ended up in a dress, and so how do you roast Tyler Perry because he started off in a dress, but look where he is now. You know, look where he is now, and
exactly.
yeah.
And why I just wanted to call that out is it's not, you know, there's a whole narrative with that, and that's why I don't want to say all. You don't want to throw everybody in the bucket, but I could definitely agree with these are
no, you're right.
Definitely influential comedic actors who have at one point in time played feminine characters, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there is like a whole other.
With it, but to
No,
them,
there's a narrative.
There is condemn him.
I think that's not the only reason. That's not the only reason people condemn him. I think yes, we don't want to. I'm not condemning Tyler Perry for wearing a dress. That's not my issue with him. My issue is it's just quality in his writing. He doesn't have a writing room. He writes everything, and I feel like you say yes, you are a leader in terms of African American creatives and what you've done and your success. But how come, like, why don't you pass the baton back? Now you are like, you own a whole bloody studio. You write 20 shows and movies a year. Bring in a writer to support that and bring some depth to your stories. Because if there's anything I could say about Tyler Perry, again, he's great that he does what he does and the narratives that he's putting on there, but his scripts are so cliche, and it's like, bring in some new perspectives. We want that. We want to still continue to support you without clowning you. So I feel like what you could do to rectify that is just bring in some writers. I mean, I've heard his argument where
they are cliche. They are cliche, but I think a part of me feels as though he was making it for his people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's fair.
Tyler Perry was creating this for his own people who could see themselves in Medea or know a Medea or know that family member that's a stripper or know that, you know what I mean? So I think it was very cliche, but I think it was a way to connect on a broader basis. But now that he is where he is, and he has had movies that were very strong, in other genres such
Oh
as,
yeah.
mystery and adventure and stuff like that. And so I think he's evolving, and now maybe he'll open up a new chapter where he'll allow and
Yes, and
relinquish
I
some
can't
of
wait.
that.
I can't wait for that stage. That's all I'm saying. I can't wait for that stage. But I respect him, and I don't jump in on the like when people are super critical of him. I'm like, no, I would never jump on that bandwagon. But I feel like
No,
I can't wait till he gets to the era where he trusts to bring other work with other writers, new up and coming black creatives, writers, directors. I feel like that will take his stuff to a whole nother level. So hopefully we get to see that.
right. This is true. This is true.
But I feel
Yes.
all in all, like I said, I think to wrap it up, it's like it's great that I do feel there's a difference in there's been a lot more increased black representation in terms of content. I could say since between last year and this year, I'm like, damn, there's definitely something's going on, and I'm happy to see it. I feel like
Yeah.
the intentions are good, but we just have to keep an eye on how they, how they are representing us. It's like, yes, we have representation, but please make it balanced. I actually want to shout out some shows that are balanced, that are good. Shows like
Hmm.
Insecure. That's a show where
Hmm.
I feel like it's, showing black excellence, and but we're real. Like we still go, relationship issues, work career issues. Like I love the perspective that they bring, Issa Rae brings to Insecure, and actually their final seasons this year. I can't wait. That show has been an emotional roller coaster, but yeah, I just wanted to show that there are shows out there that have balance, but we just want to see more of them.
Yes. Yes, and I agree with you. I do. But I really do believe it needs to come from us.
Oh, that is
Because so far,
without a doubt,
you
without a
know,
doubt.
our narrative has very much been from other people's perspective,
Mhm.
and how they saw our trauma. Now we need to show them a different side,
Yeah.
and that we are very versatile, and
Mhm.
that we ultimately, as a culture and as a being black, the sky's the limit, man.
Mhm.
The sky's the limit, and we can soar. And I think that if we were to maybe put our own stamp on that perspective, maybe the narrative would be changed entirely.
Yeah, look at Black
So
Panther.
that's where I'm at. Well, you see what I'm saying? Look at that.
That's like a
Look at that.
quintessential example when he used black voices.
Thank you.
Excellence.
Yes. And it showed us within the movie, even the conflict in the movie,
Mhm.
it showed it from a different perspective,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a perspective that can make you think,
Mhm.
and to be connected to. And I see us black people as being way more than that struggle and strife.
Yeah, we
We're
all know
actually
that. We
very
all know that we're
resilient.
way above that.
We're very resilient.
Yeah, very much so. That's gonna wrap up our show for today. We covered a lot.
Yes.
We were just excited to get through and record our first episode, and get you guys to hear a little bit about us, and we hope that you continue to listen on.
Yes.
We hope your hearts and minds are activated on this show today. Whether you lead with your heart or your mind, stay passionate and stay thoughtful.
We will definitely talk next Wednesday. See ya.